Do you remember when making friends was just as easy as showing up somewhere? I can remember that back in school or at work or even in the neighborhood. Friendships just kind of happen, you know? It's a little different now, though, isn't it? It seems as if the older we get, the smaller our friend circles become. But why is that? Why do we have fewer friends the older we get? Hmm. Hey, Circle, welcome back to Unplugged, Raw and Uncut. If you're new here, by all means, feel free to pull up a chair and join in the conversation. In this village, we keep it real, raw, and respectful. And to my returning Circle members, welcome back, everybody. It's good to see you again. Well, today we're going to be diving into a subject that's going to hit home for a lot of us. I know it does personally for me. And it's, why does our circle of friends continue to shrink as we age? Well, come on in and let's find out. I know personally for me, life just got in the way, you know? Stop and think about some of your closest friends from, say, 10, 20, even 30 years ago. And then ask yourself this: how many of those friends are still in your life today? And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that when we were younger, we had a lot more free time to spend with those friends, you know? And as we get older, we start to have more responsibilities, more constraints on our time, you know, relationships, or you get married, children, job, back to school, just a lot more things going on. And those weekly calls that we once were able to make to our friends to check up on them, you know, well, they turn into monthly calls. And before you know it, it's like, hey, wow, I haven't heard from you in the longest. And I guess that's just the way it is as you age. And have you ever noticed that as we age, we don't tolerate the same nonsense that we once did? Sort of like when we were younger, we had a lot of friends. We collected friends almost like souvenirs. But as we got older, we realized that not all of those souvenirs were worth keeping. We become a lot more selective in who we spend our time with and who we give our energy and attention to. We have a lot less tolerance for drama and flakiness, or those one-sided friendships where one side seems to be putting in all the effort. And I know personally for me, the older I've gotten, I want more authentic, real, reliable, reciprocal relationships. I just don't have the time or the energy for a friendship that doesn't serve me or my purposes anymore. We all change. We age, we change. I'm not the same as I was when I was 20, you know? And not only do we change, but our friends, they change also, you know? Have you ever reconnected with an old buddy, old pal, old friend, whatever you want to call them? And afterwards, you came to the realization that you guys just, you didn't see eye to eye anymore. You weren't the same people. There was, the love was still there, the camaraderie was still there, but for whatever reason, you didn't see eye to eye, you know? And that's just another realization with aging, that some people are in your life for a reason, some people are in it for a season. You know, some people are in your life for the rest of your life, but those are few and far between. I know personally for me, I had a friend that I've been friends with for over 40 years, and God, I just assumed we'd be friends forever. But at some point, I got married, he didn't. The friendship started to feel a little off, difficult, strained, however you want to put it. And we're just not friends anymore. We're not enemies, don't get me wrong. I'm not his enemy, but we don't talk like we once did. We don't get together and do the things we once did. And it's just difficult. But I guess it's just a painful fact of growing older. And also, you know, growth. And I'm not saying he didn't grow, but you know, friendships are like relationships and marriages. They require alignment of the two parties. And I've always said this, that if you don't grow together, you'll grow apart. And that's the same thing with friendships. You know, sometimes people just, for whatever reason, stop fitting into our lives. And it seems like in today's world, society, it takes a lot more effort to make new friends. And maybe it's just me. It's just people aren't as open. They're not as receptive. They're not as trusting as they once were. It just takes a lot more effort and time and energy to make new friends. And let me ask you this. When was the last time you made a new friend? And I don't mean an acquaintance. There's a big distinction between acquaintance and friend. I mean a real friend. You know, I I honestly can't recall the last time I made a real friend. You know, people just aren't as receptive as they once were to that. I guess maybe when we were younger, friendships just kind of happened naturally, but it was a different time, so people were more open and trusting than they are now. But when you're older and you have a lot of life experience behind you, you have to be more intentional, I guess. But a lot of that too, I'm thinking is we don't have those built-in social settings like we did in high school or even at work anymore. Like in high school, I don't want to say we're thrown together, but you were put together with a lot of kids your same age all day, every day for 5, 6 days a week. I mean, how could you not make friends? You know, and the work environment has changed over the years, so it was a lot easier. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but for me, the work environment has changed a lot over the years, so it was a lot easier and more relaxed before. Now things have become a little more stringent, tightly regulated, and it becomes a lot harder to make true friends. Most people are ladder climbers and they're at your throat and you can't really trust them, but that's just me. Don't be like me. Um, and it also requires a little bit of risk. You know, in order to make new friends, you have to actually put yourself out there, you know, and that in itself can be scary because in order to put yourself out there and make a new friend, that means you have to trust. And a lot of people, by the time they've reached a certain age, trust is more earned and given. And you come to the painful realization that some friends were never real friends to begin with. Uh, had a couple of those in my life. People that were near and dear to my heart. And you come to find out, and usually much later, that they were envious of you or for whatever reasons, they weren't true friends. You know, it's funny that it takes time to reveal that to you, but it does. I guess you live and learn. And you're going through struggles too will teach you who your real friends are. You know, everybody's a friend in good times, but in the bad times, that will show you who your true circle is. Uh, it's easy to have a lot of friends when things are going good. Excuse me. It's easy to have a lot of friends when things are going good, but when you hit a rough patch, that's who you're going to find out who's really going to stand up and show up for you. And a lot of friendships are built on connection and on convenience. A lot of friendships are built on convenience and not real connections. And that's sad but true. Some people are only your friend when you're not doing good because it makes them feel better about their own situation. But the minute you put yourself into a better situation and start to rise up, the friendship gets a little wonky. But here's the good news about all this, people. What if I told you that having fewer friends isn't a bad thing, but it's actually a sign of clarity? You know, a smaller circle doesn't mean loneliness. It just means depth. Because the fewer friends you have, the deeper the bonds or connections with those friends are. Um, so instead of stressing over the friendships that faded, focus more on the friendships that remain. And if you want more friends, well, hey, by all means, go on out and make them. I'm good. But also remember something about friendship, people. And this is something always to remember. Always be that friend that you wish you had. You know, don't be that friend who receives all the benefits and gives few. You know, be that friend that you wish you had. Okay, family, let's talk. Have you noticed in your own life that your friend circle is getting smaller? And do you think that's a good thing, or do you miss those days when it was bigger? Drop a comment down below. I want to hear your thoughts on this. And if this hit home for you, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and join the circle. We have a lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline. Trust me, you don't want to miss any of it. And again, I thank you for pulling up a chair with me today, family. And it's always nice to have you here, and you know you're always welcome at any time. And let's continue to grow our village here, one voice at a time. Every voice matters. So until next time, take care of yourself and each other. I'm Unc, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.